Hello, everybody, and welcome to Whispers on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog, and UPRN, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. It is 6:08 p.m., 72 degrees. Finally, the weather matches up with our little inside odometer.
Well, it had to, the odds are that at some point in time it had to say 72 degrees.
One day it would say 72.
Yeah.
What was it, like the first...
Like all clocks are right.
The first
twice a day.
2 months that we started, like I just said, it's 72 degrees. You're like, no, it isn't.
No, yeah, there'd be snow on the ground. It's 72 degrees
It's
out
a
there.
blustery 72 out. It's hailing. Give us a call, 304-214-1600 if you're out of the area. Toll free, 1-866-514-1600.
Good job. You finally started taking breath.
I took a little breath there.
You did.
Sometimes
and it's just enough for me to jump in.
We'll jump in, by golly.
Don't forget Iran, folks. There is still trouble there, despite the fact that Michael Jackson died. The world doesn't stop because Michael Jackson passed away. Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
This is bad when he's doing sound effects.
No, he's been sitting in my house all day.
He's
like, all I want is a Shimona.
I want a Shimona.
And I'm like, what are you... I was like, it's too soon, number one. Number two, no.
But I... Ed McMahon.
Oh, okay. Do you have a Farrah?
What does she say? I don't know.
Words.
Hi, I'm Charlie's Angel. Yeah, that's our Farrah Fawcett sound
Good
clip.
morning, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
Yeah.
There it is, Farrah Fawcett. I looked. Nobody has a soundboard for Farrah. And then I started looking up a video. I started a video for Farrah Fawcett to see if I could just get like one clip and just push play real quick. And as soon as it started, Nick's like, "You better be looking up Nikola Tesla." It's like, unless he's on that show, we don't want to hear it. I'm like,
you got to do a little bit of research. I mean, you're going to sound like an idiot.
That's what you're here for, Nick.
Nick's
we
the brains.
rely on your brains.
I sent him.
We're the comic relief.
I sent him an email, and I see him over there perusing something intently, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he turns around the computer, and it's a Lindsay.
Wait a minute.
It's a Lindsay Lohan picture.
Wait. You sent him an email, and he's in the same room with you.
Yeah, he does that to me.
Oh, my.
Well, no, I sent him a link.
He doesn't like to use words. It hurts my feelings just a bit.
I'm like, here, read this.
This is unbelievable.
Read this article.
Do you text him when it's time to come eat?
He hasn't.
No. We're at the house. We're doing show prep.
This is
but he doesn't do show prep. He's looking up funny Lindsay Lohan pictures.
Well, it was funny. There was one. They were all anorexic looking at it. It said, yeah, they look hungry, but if you feed them, they won't go away.
That is funny.
I find that funny.
We have a guest sitting here on the phone, and you're talking about Lindsay Lohan's weight problems.
All right. Real quick, we were talking about Iran. We got an email last week right after the show. It's from Terry Corner, and it says, God love you and great blessings for you, Lola. I feel your passion for our fellow women trying to stand up for their lives in Iran. There must be something we can do to lift our voices. I'm sure you've tried baking soda in warm water for poison ivy.
Poison ivy, yes.
It said it might also help. Thanks for a great show, and which I have recently discovered a fan, Terry, from Northern Michigan.
Oh, thank you, Terry. Thank you very much. And yes, we have to. I don't want us to forget that there still is a world out there outside of Michael Jackson.
What?
And Billy Mays. Let's keep Billy Mays in there.
Oh, poor Billy. Yeah, but he's up there with his orange glow.
I'm saying this because we have some listeners that weren't listening this morning. Biff, who is on the morning show, says, deaths always happen in threes. Leave it to Billy Mays to throw one extra in there for free.
Yeah, I heard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you're the only one that found that.
I peed a little when I heard it.
Oh, God, that's too much information.
And we just lost our guest on the
Okay. All right, Tim.
All right, Nikki.
Okay. First guest is Tim Swartz. He's an Indiana native and Emmy Award-winning television producer, videographer, and is the author of a number of popular books, including The Lost Journals of Nikola Tesla, which Jordan did not read. I'm sorry, Jordan. Secret Black Projects, Evil Agenda of the Secret Government, Time Travel, a how-to guide, Teleportation from Star Trek to Tesla, Strange and Unexplainable Deaths, and his most recent, Richard Shaver, Reality of the Inner Earth. Tim, are you with us?
Oh yes, I'm here.
You didn't hang up. Good.
Just still thinking about that the Lindsay Lohan weight problem.
The poor girl. She needs a cheeseburger.
That should be your next book. That's the conspiracy.
But before we get started on anything else, let me tell you about conspiracies here. Okay. Now, periodically throughout the show, unfortunately, I am recovering from an illness, so I may have to stop and cough. But if you want to examine one of the world's greatest mysteries, perhaps you or some of these other experts, because I have not a clue, can explain to me how a 2-year-old with just the sniffles can pass that on to an adult who then comes down with symptoms equivalent to the swine flu, Ebola, and maybe the Black Plague.
And the baby's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you drop those things, they'll bounce.
And I'm at death's door. So, yeah.
That you're asking the question of the.
That's right.
I don't know.
I blame it on the government.
Yeah.
It is. It's a plot by the Mossad.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. I get the same problem. It's despicable.
But anybody out there who has children can definitely identify
Absolutely.
with that. If you don't have children, you're probably sitting there scratching your head going, I don't understand.
Yeah, but if you've ever been around a kid, even.
That's right. Well, I mean, but before we had our daughter, I was the healthiest person around. Never got sick or anything like that. Now I probably am getting sick like once every 2 or 3 days or so.
Jeez.
Now, are you keeping the kid in the house, or is it going around to places? You could just lock it in a closet.
Nick.
I don't think that's
tell
abuse.
Nick has no children when he starts talking about locking them in a closet. It is not a pet.
Well, he does have a child that we don't speak of.
And I have a big closet. It's not abuse.
A big closet. There's plenty of air.
Yeah, I mean, we
big
got a
enough crack
bench.
under the door. You can slide food under.
It works. It really
Yeah,
does.
come on.
All right, I want to ask you a question, Tim, on
ahead.
time travel.
Mhm.
Can you explain the steps, I guess, and why nobody else knows about it?
Yeah, well, I suppose that if I could really succinctly explain time travel in that way, I wouldn't be on this program. No, I mean, time travel is one of those mysteries that everybody is interested in, but nobody really wants to talk about too much. I would say that probably the majority of scientists and physicists out there who have ever cut their teeth on anything that Einstein or any of the other great physicists have ever written about have an interest in time travel, but they're just too timid to really approach it directly. Now that's the exception of this rule is the professor with the Boston University, George Mallet, I think is what his name is. This guy, he is actually conducting experiments using laser beams to try to create, as he calls it, a tunneling effect.
Really?
Yeah. Now, don't ask me what the science is behind it. I mean, my training is as a journalist. And so when it comes to science, I'm a dabbler. I mean, I may understand some of the basic concepts, but other than that, I'll have to take these guys' words for it. Everybody else, with the exception of, like I said, Professor Mallet, really is just too timid to try to approach the subject in anything other than a theory. Or on paper. Now, Professor Mallet, I mean, he's got his laser beams out, and he really thinks that he may be able to achieve at least some kind of measurable results within the next several years. And he's gotten a lot of criticism, but then again, he's gotten a lot of accolades as well because of his science is right on the money, at least for what we currently understand. With the nature of time, which is not much, really. we have some generalizations on what time is, but nobody is really sure. And I suspect that as time goes by, we'll find out that what we think we know now about time and the nature of our reality can probably just be tossed into the trash bin, thrown away.
Is he the one that is equating the time continuum to a black hole? Or is that somebody else?
Well,
that it kind of shifts. You can shift it with electromagnetic energy.
Well, that is one of the theories. Yes. And he's working on that principle, but what he's trying to do, and it sounds almost like the Ghostbusters where they don't cross the beams, where he's taking laser beams and crossing them and using them to chase each other around in a circle in a highly condensed electromagnetic field. And the idea with that is that eventually it's going to cause basically a tunneling effect. Now, according to his theory, this tunneling effect works only as far back as as when the machine was created, if my impression is correct. But that's just the beginning. I mean, everybody knows that the first steps towards any kind of development like this is always just baby steps. I mean, the Wright brothers, they only flew 5 or 6 inches or something like that when they got started. So the same could be said with time travel. But then again, we're talking about man-made devices, and some of my research, talking to people who have had rather bizarre paranormal experiences that seem to be suspiciously like experiences coming from the past or even the future, it seems to me that time could be a lot more fluid than anybody would even dare imagine. So that possibly Mother Nature has already come up with a version of time travel that we can't even wrap our minds around yet. Bit of cough here. Excuse me.
No, that's okay.
And we were talking before the show about John Teeter.
Yes.
Which is somebody that came online around 2000 or so, claiming to be from the future. And this is somebody you had said that you were actually asking questions to. Can you kind of give a background a little bit on Teeter and?
Yeah, this originated with the old Art Bell show, and Art Bell had gone on one time and said, if there are any time travelers out there, give us a call. And of course, nobody called in, but it wasn't too long afterwards that this gentleman who said his name was John Teeter, which I don't think that was his actual name, it is obviously a pseudonym of some kind, came online and claimed to be a time traveler from the year 2036. And that he was in this time period kind of as a stopping off point on his way back to the future. And that his mission was to go back originally to the year 1974 to secure an old, one of the first IBM portable computers that it had within it the capability to communicate with mainframe computers, something that was not really known at the time. And then later on, an IBM computer expert came onto these forums and confirmed that this was a little-known function of this computer. But Teeter claimed that he was from a future that would be what we would refer to now as almost an alternative future. He said that there had been a civil war that began really right around now in the early parts of the 21st century, There was like supposed to be an atomic war between Russia, China, and the United States, and then subsequently afterwards there was a civil war within the United States, and the United States divided up into basically several different, almost like independent countries.
Oh.
And Teeter was saying, excuse me, Teeter was saying that according to what they knew about time from his era, was that time travel was possible, but you would never be able to return back to the future or the time period that he originated from, because there are an infinite number of realities, and that you could go into the past, but any contact with the past would create new realities.
So now would they still need the computer? My question, I guess.
That never fails. As soon as you start talking here, boy.
I said, would they still need the actual computer? Because he came back for a certain reason, I
right.
guess.
Well,
so you create a paradox sort of.
Well, that's just it. He said that because of these alternative realities, there were no paradoxes, that anything would be possible. And he said that he could go back to a future, to his timeline that was fairly close to the one that he left.
Okay.
But he would never be able to go back to the exact one.
See, that's what bothers me about, I don't know if you watch Lost, but, but that's what really bothers me with Lost, is that paradox of, seeing yourself.
Right.
And B, this, changing things. I mean, that was always kind of this unwritten rule when you read anything that had to do with time travel, was the paradox. And it just drives me crazy.
Well, that's referred to as the grandfather paradox. And that's, a lot of scientists say that time travel is impossible because you could go back into the past and kill your grandfather, and thus you would never be born.
Yeah.
And that's not able to go back into the past. But according to John Teeter, and now really, according to some physicists who are saying that the alternative timeline theory is very viable from what we are now understanding when it comes to modern physics and quantum physics, is that there is no paradox. Anything is possible. Everything is possible. Some things are more possible than others. So,
well, then I suppose the question would be, if it were possible and you were given the opportunity, then the question is, do you care that you can never come back to this reality that you know right now?
Because, once again, I mean, you would come back to a reality that would be so close that it would be probably almost indistinguishable from the one that you left. Unlike the episode of The Simpsons, where Homer made a time machine out of his toaster.
Yeah, well.
And finally, at the end, he thought he'd hit upon the correct reality, and then everybody is eating their donuts with forked tongues, and he shrugs his shoulder and goes, close enough.
only Homer's
world.
That's
right. So it's according to John Teeter at least, that would be the equivalent of what was going on with him. I mean, he said that the present that he was in at that time was obviously taking a different track than the one that he was familiar with. And he speculated that his entry into this timeline may have actually caused that different track, which is very possible. You have to think of time as a tree with all kinds of different branches, and every decision that each and every one of us makes creates a completely different timeline that goes off into an infinite number of directions. So, I mean, you think about it. If you decide that you're going to go to the soda machine and get a soda, and then the machine falls over on you and kills you, and or you decide that you don't want to get a soda. You know, it's there's all kinds of different possibilities based on the minute decisions that we make every day. And if we can find a way to travel back and forth into time, we'll find that it would actually be like some people put it in several different ways. One of them would be like frames on a movie film. Each frame is a different reality, and we just kind of like, you know, hop and skip across them. Other people say it's like for those old timers out there like me, like the grooves on a record, that, you know, and that each groove is a different timeline, and we can skip and jump along each and every one of them.
Now, what do you think about like Stephen Hawking, who says that, you know, time travel is impossible?
Well, based on what he understands right now with physics and science, it is. But then again, I mean, don't forget that it wasn't that long ago that people were saying that flying heavier than air aircraft was impossible, or that it was impossible to send voice communication through the atmosphere, things like that. You know, I don't think that anything is impossible in the realm of science. It's just narrow minds who refuse to consider the alternative possibilities. You know, so I mean, for what he understands currently, it is impossible. But then again, tomorrow you'll have somebody who will come up with, they'll have an epiphany and say, no, it's not impossible, and this is why. And then science takes, you know, another leap forward.
Hey, Tim, we got to take a break real quick. We'll be right back. Just hang on the line. We'll be right back with Mr. Tim Swartz. We're talking about time travel. We're going to get into some other conspiracy theories and what is inner Earth. Give us a call, 304-214-1600, 866-514-1600. We'll be right back with Whispers. The former West Virginia Penitentiary housed some of the most violent criminals in history. Many of the prisoners who lived there also died there. It is known for being one of the most bloody institutions in the United States. Don't miss your chance to experience the former West Virginia Penitentiary. Your tour will consist of an astonishing 90 minutes that offers an awesome history, a touch of art, cold hard facts, and an education of the justice system. Tours start 11 a.m. Tuesday through Sunday. For more information, go to www.wvpentours.com or call them at 304-843-4146. Welcome back to Whispers, everybody, on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog. It is 6:34 p.m., 72 degrees in beautiful downtown Wheeling.
Yeah, the sun is out again.
I love it.
The skies have cleared.
It is...
What?
I don't know. Okay, on the phone now we have Mr. Tim Swartz. We are talking time travel. I want to get into some conspiracies. What kind of conspiracies do you know, Tim?
Oh, my gosh.
Well, let's get some good ones.
Some good ones, huh? Gee, well, just off the top of my head, the good conspiracies. You mean like what about the most recent ones that I know you're just gonna love talking about? This one, the strange and mysterious death of Michael Jackson.
No!
I don't think it's that mysterious. But...
Demerol has done it to better people than that.
I share a secret with other people all the time.
Well, supposedly Lindsay Lohan had something to do.
Of course.
Took his food away.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, you cannot have a celebrity die like that without immediately there arise all kinds of conspiracy theories. Of course, the most popular one is that he's not really dead.
Right.
Oh, he's like Elvis.
Yeah.
Right.
He's a crafty
and Andy
something.
Kaufman.
That's right. That he decided that he had to flee his debts and other kinds of responsibilities, and he's now hiding out someplace with Elvis, and Kennedy and some of these other ones.
They're all in Kalamazoo.
And those two would want to hang out with Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, you know what? Elvis and Michael Jackson were at one time related. Father-in-law. They were father-in-law and son-in-law. I mean, it was,
That's right.
yeah.
Poor Elvis.
And so he would have learned how to do this from Lisa Marie. There you go.
But that's the most, you know, the most recent, just really, I mean, top of the news one that's going around.
What's one of your favorite ones?
Well, let me say another good one that's been going on recently is the Airbus flight that came out of Brazil going to Paris that broke up over the Atlantic Ocean. There were some suspicious emails that were sent back and forth saying that the plane contained an E-bomb.
What?
What's an E-bomb?
Well, an E-bomb would be an electromagnetic bomb.
Like an EMF or something like that?
EMF, right. Well, what it would do, it would create a magnetic pulse. Kind of like if you would explode a nuclear device in the atmosphere over a city. The electromagnetic pulse would be enough to take out all electronics within a 1,000-mile radius.
Yeah.
Underneath that.
Bless you.
So thank you. Sorry. I wish I had a kill button here on my phone that I could muffle that. So. But anyway, supposedly, now it's been a theory that's been that's circulated for quite a while, that some terrorist organizations have managed to build a device that would create an electromagnetic pulse. It's not something that is not unfeasible. You would need a small detonation device, some kind of explosive, C4, or something even simpler than that if you could sneak it on board. But then it would have to have some kind of electromagnetic component to it, so that it would then end up frying all of the electronics on board the airplane, and to such an extent that the plane would go completely out of control and basically just tear itself up in the atmosphere, which is supposedly, nobody really knows what happened to this craft. Is this true? I'm sitting on the fence on that one. I mean, it's I'm a big believer of Occam's razor, and if the simplest explanation is probably the correct one, that there was probably just some kind of, I hate to say a normal malfunction, but something within expected guidelines of malfunctions that caused the plane probably to fly too fast or too slow and break up on its own. But that's any time that you have an unexplained disaster like that, you're going to have some interesting conspiracy theories around it. Yeah. Now, you asked about some of my favorite conspiracy theories. One of my favorite ones, and I hate to say it's a favorite one, but I'm still, and I'm always going to remain suspicious about the whole 9/11 scenario and the explanations that have been put forth by the government. I think that it's there's no doubt that that there were two planes that were commandeered by terrorists and were flown into the buildings. Now then, was this allowed to happen? I think that there could be a very good possibility that at least some factors in the government at that time may have known for quite a while that this was going to happen and allowed it to happen in order to justify the invasion of Iraq and the attempted invasion of other countries in the Middle East. I think that there was the World Trade Center building number 7, which we found out later was the location of a lot of clandestine activity, the CIA and FBI and other intelligence organizations use that building as their point of operation out of New York. All of the disguised panel vans and trucks and things like that you always see in the movies hovering outside the house under suspicion.
I got a question though.
Go ahead.
Like, okay, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, our government did it. Our government did it. Our government did it," and there's like the loose change videos and stuff like that, all proving that our government did it. Our government knew about it. Whatever. But couldn't the people who, the terrorists who hijacked the planes, couldn't they have like thrown bombs in buildings? I mean, they pretty much knew what they were going to do when they did it. Couldn't they have just sabotaged things to make sure that their plans weren't effective?
Oh, sure. Oh, you betcha.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of different scenarios, and I think that any one of them, including the scenario that everything happened exactly as has been described by the government, could be true. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about conspiracy theories, is that they're like Play-Doh. I mean, you can mold them around and make them fit whatever scenario best suits whatever agenda that you're trying to push. But I still think that there are a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to the whole 9/11 thing that, unfortunately, our government has not been very forthcoming about letting us know. The 9/11 hearings, the records have never been released completely to the public. Most of it is still sealed away. The other suspicious things like the black boxes on the aircraft, which, I mean, these devices are supposed to withstand just about any kind of circumstance, and according to the government, they were incinerated in the crash. And if that was the case, that's the first time that has ever happened in all the plane crashes in recorded aviation history. So just little facts like that add up, and plus, I mean, recently there was a panel of what was this, like 700 engineers all across the world got together and put their findings together on paper, that saying that they were suspicious on what exactly happened in New York at that time. Just based on the evidence that they had available to them.
Do you think we'll ever know the real story?
Oh, probably not. Nope. It's the same way with the Kennedy assassination.
I was just going to bring Kennedy up. We have such a mistrust of the government, and I think that's what started it.
Yeah.
Was back with that it doesn't matter what they produce, you're not going to believe it wholeheartedly, no matter what it is.
Well, unfortunately, we live in a society, and I think it's just human nature in general, that the people in power feel that there are a lot of items that need to be kept secret from the general public. And as long as we live in an atmosphere like that, there is always going to be that suspicion, that wondering whether or not something dirty was going on, even if there wasn't, because this attitude that, we got to keep it secret for some reason. They always cite national security, but then that just leads to people who come up with even wilder theories on what happened. I mean, you talk about the Kennedy assassination.
So what's your take on the Kennedy assassination? What happened?
Well, I mean, it's like we had talked about before we went on the air. I mean, I was just a little, almost a babe in arms when that happened. But from the research that I've done, I mean, I do think that it was a conspiracy. That Kennedy was, it wasn't just a lone gunman. I mean, Oswald may have been the shooter, but I mean, he just didn't do it on his own. One of the main things that people don't talk about too much is that the route that Kennedy took past the book depository, that had changed. I I think it was about 20 minutes to a half hour, he was supposed to go in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
But because of some other kind of security scare, I think is what it was, they, at the last moment, diverted the routes to that direction. And so if Oswald was going to be had planned this all along, I mean, weeks in advance, because remember, he had to get this rifle, this cheap Italian rifle that he ordered through the mail. I think it was like $12 or something like that, with a scope so misaligned that even an expert couldn't even shoot the side of a barn with it. And so how he managed to know in advance that Kennedy was going to go past the place that he worked at, unless he had some kind of inside information. Again, it's just one of those mysteries that we'll never know. But I do think that there was some kind of conspiracy going on, possibly within the intelligence organizations, who were pretty pissed off at Kennedy and his fiasco with the Bay of Pigs in Cuba at the time.
I want to stop you, and I want to switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
I hate the fact that you know so much on everything, because we only have so much time, and we got about a little over 10 minutes left, and I want to get on Inner Earth.
Okay.
And I never heard that. So. I never heard what that is, and Nick's been giddy all day because he wants to talk about this, and since we're cutting short on time, I really want to make sure we get this. So tell us, what is Inner Earth? I've never heard of this.
Never heard of the Inner Earth.
No.
Okay, well, the Inner Earth, there is a theory, and this is a theory that has been around probably as long as there has been people walking on the surface of the planet. I mean, almost I think as soon as we dropped out of the trees, then we started looking into the caves and tunnels beneath our feet and wondering whether or not there was something underneath there. And the theory is that the Earth, rather than being a solid sphere, as science says it is, with a solid nickel iron core and thousands and thousands of degrees hot, is instead hollow. Think of, say, like a cheap Easter chocolate bunny.
Okay.
The kind that it's just you bite into it and it's hollow inside.
So disappointing. You're bringing back horrible memories.
Exactly. Well, see, according to the theory, the Earth is like that, and there is, in fact, a whole other world on the underside of the inner part of the Earth, where possibly there could exist other lands, even other people. Some people have gone as far as to suggest that in the exact center is a sun, possibly the equivalent of what scientists now say is that nickel iron sphere, and that this red hot sun floats in the center and illuminates permanently the inside of the hollow Earth.
Really?
And now this is, like I said, this is something that has been going around for centuries. This is not a new theory. And in fact, there are any number of ancient societies and civilizations who say that mankind originally came from a land underground. You have two creation stories from indigenous peoples. One, that we came from the stars. Two, that we came from a land underground. The Native Americans, especially the ones who lived on the western coast of the United States, said that we are all descendants from a race of beings called the Ant people that came from under the ground and populated the earth from a civilization underground.
Huh.
Yeah.
I never heard that.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what about, like, let's say hell? Would that be like a hell climate? Does that come in there too? Like,
well, see,
souls of the damned?
Yeah, see, hell, Hades, Sheol, any number of words is a variation on this idea. Mm-hmm. In fact, the Bible, especially the Old Testament, and especially a lot of the books of the Torah, which haven't been included in the Old Testament, speak of lands, populated lands underground, where angelic beings, as well as just regular schmoes like the rest of us live. And in fact, there's a section in the Torah that talks about the 7 levels beneath our feet. That there are like 7 different spheres of reality that exist underground.
Really?
Now, whether or not they're talking about a spiritual realm or an actual physical realm, it's hard to say.
How about one of my favorite theories was that the Nazis went to Hollow Earth based some of the ideas from the Thule Society, if I remember correctly. Does that make you remember anything or ever heard anything about that?
Oh yes, well that's absolutely true. Hitler and his minions were absolutely fascinated by the idea that there was a race of superior white men living in the Hollow Earth beneath our feet, and Hitler sent out a couple of expeditions, especially to Tibet and the Himalayas, to try to find some of these hidden entrances into the Hollow World in order to try to contact this superior race to help him win the war to subjugate the rest of us. And as far as I know, this he never accomplished it. But yes, it's absolutely true that Hitler did attempt to try to find the Hollow Earth himself.
Now, one of the things I've always been trying to get, because I don't necessarily believe, of course, Hollow Earth. I'd also, but at the same time, there's the theory of the flat Earth, which, I've argued with people before online. I have no idea if they're even being,
serious.
Right. Yeah. But have you ever heard anybody at all at this point thinking that there's flat Earth? I mean, there are some people still who will try to argue that the Earth is flat, but not flat in the way that we think of as flat. Like a dinner plate floating out in outer space, circling the sun. Their idea is more that our cosmos is actually kind of like a self-contained sphere, almost like we are living within the Hollow Earth itself, and that the sky that we see and the stars above are nothing more than points of gas on the ceiling of this giant sphere that makes up the rest of the universe. I mean, it's really, 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 really big.
So we're in Earth, like.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Exactly. That's
in other words, we're the pimple on somebody's butt.
That kind of reminds me of like a Dyson sphere of some type.
Yeah, very, very, very much so. And that's the entire universe. The entire universe is basically just the Earth, and that the rest of what we perceive as the universe is just like an optical illusion on the inside of this infinite hollow sphere. The hollow part is not infinite, but after you get to a certain point, then it just becomes solid rock that goes on forever, and that's what God that's what God created for us, and if that's the case, boy, he sure must have been honked off there. Like put us inside this terrarium, I guess.
Yeah, that is what it's like.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, very much so.
To shift gears again, I know we only have couple minutes left. We were talking. One of your books is about Nikola Tesla, and you had said something about wireless electricity.
Yes.
Can you kind of briefly go into that? I know we don't have much time left, but maybe you could segue into maybe the next time we have you on the show.
Sure. Well, Nikola Tesla was the epitome of the greatest genius in modern electronic history. This was a gentleman who basically gave us our electric lights, television, radio, practically everything else that we enjoy in this electronic age was conceived by this guy who lived in the late 19th and early 20th century. And one of Tesla's greatest ideas was that, of course, I have to remember, Tesla was the guy who also conceived of the grid system that we currently use that sends electricity all across the United States by wires. Well, almost as soon as Tesla had put this all up, he came up with the idea, well, why don't we just do away with the wires completely and just send electricity either through the atmosphere or as a resonance capacity through the Earth itself. And he even attempted to build a facility to do this on Long Island, New York in the early 1900s.
Wow.
Unfortunately, his financiers found out what he was doing. These were the guys who were making money off of the grid system, and Tesla was about halfway through this project, and they pulled the plug on him. And unfortunately, he was not able to see his dream through. He wasn't able to see his dream through.
Mm-hmm.
The other unfortunate thing was that Tesla didn't really. A lot of his paperwork on his ideas never survived. So we have theories and ideas on how Tesla was going to accomplish this, but nobody really has a firm idea on exactly how it was going to be done. But Tesla was the type of guy that if he was going to go and start building this facility, he knew it was going to work.
Yeah.
This wasn't a guy who he was going to go build it and see what happens. No, he knew it was going to work. We just unfortunately don't know even today, even though science is finally starting to catch up to his ideas. We still don't really know just exactly how he was going to do it. But it would have been a beautiful thing. You think about power failures from tornadoes or ice storms that take down the wires. You have whole communities.
It'd be nice.
Yeah.
That's all the time we got for today, actually. We want to have you back because there's just so much more. There's so much more.
Well, as Jordan said, you know so much about so many things.
It's like I want to just hit on every one of them now, and then we'll come back to it.
Well, it's my pleasure. Anytime you want to have me back, glad to do it.
Oh, we really appreciate that. Tim Swartz, everybody. We got all of his info up on our website, which is currently down, I guess, but it'll be back up, and all of his info will be on there, and it'll be good
Where's
times.
Tesla when you need him.
That's right.
Exactly. Thank you, Mr. Schwartz.
Been my pleasure.
Have a good day.
Have a good one.
Wow.
What do you think, Lo?
He does know a lot about a lot. He does.
I was really worried about the 9/11.
Yeah.
Just because I looked over to the phone line and be like, oh my God, we're gonna get thrown off the air.
No. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions.
Yeah.
At least you didn't say it was like all fake and.
Well, you should have seen the notes and calls and messages we got after we had the moon hoax
I bet.
when Jared White said that we blew up the Challenger.
That kid.
Like we had
my
a lot
uncle
of.
and his dad.
The Watchdog.
I guess we're going to CNN.
Yes, it is time. It is time for a break.
All right, we'll be right back. WKKX UPRN.
Mind drifts off to peace, plain view.